Okay, you guys, this is going to be our 9th video, the end of the prologue.
Presented by Quinrose.
We're going to pick up where we left off. And Wendy's freaking out here. She's like, oh yeah, why? Like, she's looking at this huge hole, the wormhole, that Peter's taking her to. Their trip to Neverland is about to begin. She's like, sure, we were flying towards the moon, but the moon doesn't grow big just because we're a little closer. She's thinking this. And she's like, after a pause to herself, it's almost like a cutout picture. And Wendy's like, the moon-like thing that appears in front of us is reflected, as if it's a foreign object. Actually, the size of the stars in the night sky did not change. Only the moon was changing. And that ends that draft. So we're on the last one now. Wendy's thinking, we're really approaching the moon. But the air isn't thinning, we're not in space. And she's still thinking to herself, in the first place, the new moon we see is only large in the area where it is dark without light. If you're approaching the real moon, you should be able to see the surface of the moon. She's like, however, the shadow of the moon spreading in front of me is as dark as a hole. Wormhole. For sure, that looks like one. Wendy's like, I can't see the contours of the moon, even if I squint, and there is only the abyss that seems to be where we are inhaled from.
一体この月はどうなっているんだ。僕の知識が間違っているのか。
John's cutting in now, finally awake and aware, because he was broken earlier. He's like, what on earth in hell is this monolithic thing? Is my knowledge wrong? He continues after a pause. Wendy's like, John has the same stunned tone and the same incredible feelings about it as me. This is to herself.
あの月の影を通り抜ければ僕の世界に行けるよ。
Peter's like, if you pass through the shadow of that moon, you can reach my world. And I'm thinking, yep, that's a wormhole. No shame, this dude. And Wendy's like, do you want us to enter in that monolithic thing? She's freaking out. She asks him this.
違うよ。月じゃなくて月の影にだよ。影がない時に飛び込もうとしたら月にぶつかっちゃう。
Peter's like, no, it's not the moon that we enter, but the shadow of the moon. If you try to dive when there's no shadow, you'll hit the moon. This is his reassurance to her. Yeah, Wendy's freaking out.
月の影が穴になっているなんて初めて知った。
Michael's like, the shadow of the moon is a hole. And then he's like, after a pause, it's the first time I knew it. Like, of this. Wendy confirms this aloud too. She's like, I also knew for the first time just now. And then she continues to them, at least the moon I knew of. And then she pauses and says, it's round. And farther away. To herself, she's thinking the moon in front of me is flat and the shadow is a hole. The CGs fade, and Wendy thinks to herself, perhaps, because of the change, the wind direction has changed too. Around us, the wind that tries to suck us into the moon is now blowing from on its backside. And she's like, the wind became stronger as we got closer to the moon. She's still thinking this. And now she speaks. She's like, what? And to herself, she confirmed that suddenly Peter laughs at me.
怖いのなら抱きついていていいんだよ。僕はいつでも君を助けてあげる。
Creeper, creeper, pumpkin eater, Peter, oh my gosh. Okay, so he's actually telling her here, if you're scared, you can have me, right? I'll always help you. Jerk. She's like in this situation because of you. When he's like, ah! Then she like freaks out because she didn't realize she was grabbing him. Which is what she comments on here to herself. She's like, it seems that I had grasped Peter's arm strongly without knowing it. And she tells him aloud, I don't need your help. Go MC, you tell that creeper. Ain't no way. She's thinking to herself here, I thought I'd try to push it on all the way on my own. Like all the way out here. But now that I'm dying out of fear, I don't know what will happen if I were to fall apart. And she's thinking, I was worried about my brothers, and so I looked at Tinker. It doesn't seem to be particularly a problem for them. Except that John is a fool and at a loss right now. After a pause, she's asking herself, what will happen to us from now on when we enter into the moon? She's like, more will happen soon then. And now we're entering the wormhole. Yeah. This thing is insane. Like, I love the animation in this. Look at that. Look at that scary big black hole. Wow. Like, you just can't capture that on screen capture. Like, that's, like, awesome. Like, for a screenshot, it's impossible to, like, get the full effect. I love it. Wendy's still freaking out. She's, like, not even speaking right now to herself. And then, finally, she's like, my view is blocked. My body is dragged into the darkness. The pitch black, she tells herself. She's like, there is no sound between the jet black, and it's no use trying to look around with my eyes closed, and I can't even see Peter's face, who should be right by my side. She's like, are you inhaling us, or are you exhaling and vomiting us out? This thing. Yeah, that's so cool. She's like, are we moving forward? Or is it that we're flying above it? She's like, but it may have actually stopped now. Like our movement. And she's like to herself, I don't really understand what's going on here. And she's thinking a strange feeling comes over me that I have never experienced. My skin melts in the thick air. It's a sense of discomfort. She's like, I doubt that the border between my body and the darkness has disappeared. I'm worried because I don't know how dark it actually is or where I am though. She's like, it's so weird. The feeling is bad. She's like, jumping into the shadow of the moon is too random to laugh at. Like, it's no joke. It is a reality that you cannot believe unless you are experiencing it. She's like, somehow, I don't know, I've become aware of being humbled, and trails off to herself. She's like, if my consciousness is melting into the darkness, then maybe I'm not going to be me by the time the moon goes over us. She's like, immersing yourself in the shadow of the moon, which was equally insignificant. I vaguely thought about the concept of this, like what it means for her, and how she's kind of just disappearing into the void. She's like, my world, pauses, the world, and then pauses, and she's like, it changes before trailing off to herself. And she has no reply at first. No reply at first. And then we're actually going to save right here, because this is where the opening movie plays, and will be the end of the prologue as soon as that movie plays. So, here we go, you guys! The opening movie and the end of the prologue. And now they should be in Neverland, you guys, so that's where we're going to end the video here. That ended up being a little shorter than I thought it would, but that's okay.